What if everything you were taught about loyalty to yourself, to others, to your ideals was the very reason you keep losing? What if winning required not just the betrayal of others, but the betrayal of who you think you are? Machiavelli never advocated for cruelty for its own sake. He advocated for results. The harsh truth is that results often demand sacrifice, not the sacrifice of comfort, but the sacrifice of your image of yourself, your pride, your moral clarity, your sentimental loyalty to outdated virtues. To win in the real world, the person you want to be and the person you must become are not the same. Unless you're willing to kill your old self, you will never become the person who can rule, conquer, dominate, or even survive. Machiavelli understood that those who cling to virtue as a rigid ideal are ultimately powerless in a world that rewards manipulation, strategy, and the careful bending, sometimes breaking, of moral codes. Look at history. The powerful became powerful by being adaptable, not by staying pure. That means knowing when to betray, when to lie, when to discard values that no longer serve their rise. This isn't about becoming evil, it's about understanding that power isn't built by being good, it's built by being effective, by being feared when needed, loved when useful, silent when dangerous, decisive when it counts. Machiavelli believed appearances matter more than inner reality. A prince must seem virtuous even if he is not, because people judge by what they see, your actions, not your intentions, your image, not your internal monologue. Self-betrayal begins with this realization. Who you are inside matters far less than who you appear to be outside. Your integrity is invisible. Your strategy is visible. That shapes perception. That wins. When you think of betrayal, you think of dishonesty, manipulation, weakness, but self-betrayal can be strength. It means looking at the part of you that's afraid, sentimental, idealistic, and turning it off. It means recognizing your emotions are liabilities, that loyalty to a dream version of yourself may be your greatest barrier to success. The old you wants comfort, fairness, approval. The new you wants results, victory, leverage, control. To get those, you'll do things the old you would never do. That's the betrayal, and it's necessary. There's no honor in staying small, no virtue in losing. We're told to be authentic, but authenticity doesn't build empires. Strategy does. Machiavelli would say it's better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. If being your true self costs you influence, power, or freedom, then maybe your true self needs to evolve. Maybe your idea of who you are is outdated. Maybe the only way forward is to destroy it. That's not failure. It's transformation. Self-betrayal is evolution. The person you were 5 years ago would be horrified by who you're becoming, and that's good. It means you're shedding illusions. The only constant in power is change. If you remain static, you become predictable. Predictability is vulnerability. Power demands flexibility, and flexibility demands letting go of fixed ideas about yourself. This is not for the emotionally fragile. Power demands results, not feelings. Sometimes results come only when you silence the parts of yourself begging for mercy, fairness, or peace. There is no peace in war, and life is war, business is war, politics is war, even love is war if you want to keep it. Your softness will be exploited. Machiavelli didn't celebrate betrayal, he understood its necessity. Betraying others may earn enemies, betraying your old self earns freedom. You become unshackled from needing to be liked, good, or consistent. You become adaptable, strategic, effective. Your moral confusion is a luxury you can't afford, yet most cling to it, thinking losing with integrity is noble. But ask, when has history remembered losers? When has the world rewarded someone for being morally right? You can be right and irrelevant, good and invisible, or powerful. You can shape events, matter, but not without cost. Your old self, the self that doubts, hesitates, wants love more than leadership, that's who you must kill, not with cruelty but clarity. The clarity to see that you are the obstacle, the old you clinging to dead ideas. When he falls, you rise. Not as a villain, but as a player who understands the game. To win, you must betray yourself. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to choose power over comfort, influence over innocence, victory over virtue. You're not here to be good, you're here to win. The world won't give you what you deserve, it gives what you take. What you take depends on what you're willing to give up, including yourself, the part still asleep, believing fairy tales, waiting to be chosen. You don't need to be chosen, you need to choose yourself. Choose power, choose transformation, choose strategy over sentiment. This is Machiavellian thought, precision, clarity, control. You betray yourself not from malice, but because the self you're leaving behind wasn't built for the battles ahead. It was built for comfort, and comfort is the enemy of greatness. Every great historical figure made this choice: evolve, adapt, become something unimaginable to their past self. That's growth, intelligence, survival. Betrayal here is realism, insight, choosing the hard, dangerous path to power. That path isolates, changes, and hurts. But so does staying small, ignored, powerless. Suffer transformation or suffer stagnation, only one leads anywhere. Once you feel this, you stop clinging to outdated values, stop asking permission, stop trying to reconcile old self with new destiny. They can't coexist, one must die. That's power's law. To win, betray yourself, not your soul, but your past, not your principles, but your limitations. Burn the version built by others, fear, culture, childhood. From that fire, a new self emerges, hardened, sharp, dangerous, out of necessity. That's the price. If you won't pay it, you'll watch others take what you feared to reach. Most know they are their own jailer. They fear change because it demands accountability. Admitting you were wrong, ego prefers slow death to that humiliation. But winning doesn't care about pride. It responds to action. Life rewards those who move first, strike without apology, adapt without approval. If abandoning your old story is required, so be it. The lie that you must stay loyal to who you've always been is dangerous. You owe nothing to your former self, that version shaped by fear, hesitation, others' expectations. To win, become someone new, someone your past self wouldn't recognize. That's rebirth. The lion doesn't explain, the king doesn't apologize, neither should you for evolving. Growth's cost is high, stagnation's is higher. Machiavelli knew the world bends for those who reshape themselves first. Be ruthless with your old identity. Cut hesitation. Starve the need for validation. Feed only what moves you forward. The world moves with or without you. Every second you hesitate, someone takes what could have been yours, not because they deserved it more, but because they became what the moment demanded. Power goes not to the best, but to the boldest, to those who shape themselves to the situation, not their feelings. Most think betrayal means turning on others. The deeper betrayal is turning on who you used to be, the part wanting to be understood, forgiven, safe, the part that rather die good than live effective. But effectiveness is the only virtue that matters in a world governed by action, not intention. You're remembered for what you did, not what you meant to do. The self that hesitates, overthinks, clings to unexamined morality must be betrayed for clarity. Your greatest illusion is that you can succeed while unchanged. That version wasn't built for the next level. It was built for survival, not domination. Stability, not risk. Risk is the entrance fee to greatness. Sacrifice isn't always external, it's internal. The death of excuses, the funeral of your former self. It feels like betrayal, like abandoning everything you believed. But you're freeing yourself. Machiavelli saw human nature, inconsistent, emotional, self-interested. He worked with it. His advice terrifies because it forces you to stop pretending, to see that under pressure, stories about fairness, purity, and goodness crumble. You think you're moral, but often just weak, true to yourself, but often just afraid of evolving.
Most use values as ego armor, not tools to shape the future. Machiavelli would ask, if your values leave you powerless, what good are they? If your integrity keeps you poor, voiceless, forgotten, is it noble or naive? This isn't about abandoning every principle, it's choosing principles that yield results. Strategy is survival, choosing long-term impact over short-term emotions. Do what needs doing, even if your old self screams. Growth requires discomfort. That transformation feels like betrayal, proves how attached we are to limitations. You romanticize your past self, but it was built by compromise, fear, survival instincts, not vision. The winning you isn't nice, humble, or waiting, it's calculated, disciplined, cold when necessary, kind when useful.
Machiavelli saw human nature, inconsistent, emotional, self-interested. He worked with it. His advice terrifies because it forces you to stop pretending, to see that under pressure, stories about fairness, purity, and goodness crumble. You think you're moral, but often just weak, true to yourself, but often just afraid of evolving. Most use values as ego armor, not tools to shape the future. Machiavelli would ask, if your values leave you powerless, what good are they? If your integrity keeps you poor, voiceless, forgotten, is it noble or naive? This isn't abandoning every principle. It's choosing principles that yield results. Strategy is survival, choosing long-term impact over short-term emotions. Do what needs doing even if your old self screams. Growth requires discomfort. That transformation feels like betrayal, proves how attached we are to limitations. You romanticize your past self, but it was built by compromise, fear, survival instincts, not vision. The winning you isn't nice, humble, or waiting. It's calculated, disciplined, cold when necessary, kind when useful, always focused on outcome. Most can't handle this. They want to feel good now, be comfortable, be seen as good, not win later, be powerful, be great. But greatness doesn't ask permission or apologize for being misunderstood. It acts, adapts, dominates. Machiavelli said the cost of being feared is less than being loved and disrespected, because love is fickle, respect based on power lasts. Power comes from clarity, not confusion. Strategy, not softness. Action, not identity.
Your obsession with being true to your identity keeps you broke, lost, invisible. Let it go. Burn it down. Be who the moment needs. That's strength. Only the strong can kill their former self and build greater. Nature sheds skin. The phoenix burns to rise. The powerful reinvent, loyal only to the future. If you're loyal to who you were, you're losing to someone who isn't. Stop mourning who you were. Celebrate who you're becoming. The price of a higher life is death. Death of ego, comfort, old dreams. Rebirth is where victory lives. After the fire, nothing remains of the old you but ash. From that ash, a new mind is forged, one that sees through illusion, moves with force, creates its own permission. Machiavelli meant this. Fortune favors the bold, not the good, not the pure. The bold risk everything for control, strategically. The first control you master is over yourself. Not who you were born, but who you build with ruthless intention. Forge your new self like a weapon, sharp, silent, unbreakable, not emotionless, focused. Don't waste energy on opinions of those playing by outgrown rules. No one gives permission to become powerful. That's why it feels like betrayal. You break the unspoken contract, demanding you stay small, soft, polite, apologetic. Violate expectations, others and your own. Walk into the fire of judgment, resistance, doubt, and walk out new, dangerous, free. That freedom costs. But what's the cost of staying a version that doesn't work? Who are you loyal to? The safe you or the winning you? You can't serve both. One dies. The choice is power. Betrayal becomes liberation. Fear becomes fuel. Machiavelli's wisdom becomes real. Every throne is built on sacrifice. The bigger the crown, the greater the betrayal. But if you own it, you'll win. No justification needed. The voice saying, "This isn't who I am," is your anchor, wanting safety, not success.
Listening keeps you stagnant. Machiavelli warned against idealism. Those clinging to virtue become victims of realists. The world is shaped by who acts, not who is good. Actions may demand betraying attachments to the familiar, even if it felt like identity. Break patterns. The old self is a predictable loop of habits and fears. The future is made by reinvention. Betraying who you were makes space for who you can become. Dangerous to a world wanting you docile, controlled, obedient. This betrayal is rebellion against stagnation. How kings rise, empires begin. It's when you stop asking who you should be and decide who you must become. Then everything changes. You stop caring about approval, stop explaining, stop apologizing for hunger, relentlessness. Focus on winning, because winning is the reward for strategy, not goodness. Machiavelli's world is reality stripped of illusion. The only question, are you willing to become who victory requires? If yes, betray the weak, outdated, afraid version of yourself. Kill him, bury him, take the throne. You weren't born with purpose, you forge it. Forging value means cutting away weakness, even parts you thought sacred. The lie is that growth is painless, evolution graceful. Real transformation is brutal. It shakes your identity, leaves you alone in unfamiliar terrain, demands moving forward without reward guarantees. Few rise because they wait for certainty, signs, permission. Permission never comes in power. Those who rise act while others hesitate. They reshape themselves repeatedly. They don't bow to fear. They use it. They decide what they'll become and pay the price.
That's power's path. And on it, betrayal isn't sin, it's requirement. Not betraying others without reason, but betraying inner boundaries, keeping you small. Betray the voice saying, "Don't be too ambitious, don't make others uncomfortable, don't stand out." That voice isn't your friend, it's the chain on your potential. It sounds like caution, morality, humility, but it's fear dressed as virtue. Machiavelli would remind you, virtue without results is irrelevant. Achieve by choosing effectiveness over sentiment, clarity over comfort, transformation over tradition. Become the version that seizes opportunities others fear. That version doesn't care about being liked, doesn't hesitate, doesn't need the world's approval. It knows what's necessary and executes. Most never get there. They keep ill-fitting old skins, stay in rooms after doors open, cling to taught beliefs. But you aren't here to repeat mistakes. You're here to awaken, rise. To do that, betray the parts that dream rather than dominate. Domination starts with conquering self, doubt, fear, obsession with perception. Let the world gossip, judge, criticize. They're irrelevant. Only your judgment matters. Can you respect the new ruthless, clear-minded, strategic you? Can you wake knowing you've stopped lying about what winning takes? Stopping the lie starts the win.
Machiavelli exposed lies. Good things come to good people. Patience is always a virtue. Honesty leads to trust. They don't. Power leads to trust. Strength to influence. Action to results. Want loyalty? Want respect? Want freedom? Take them. The price is the comfortable you waiting for fairness. That version dies, not bitterly, but finally. You owe it no second life. You owe yourself the future. When hesitating to betray limitations, remember, the enemy is who you were. Every decision keeps him alive or buries him. Choose wisely. No one saves you from yourself. Only you can. That rescue starts with betrayal, a sharp break from who you were. You're not the same. You shouldn't be. Growth demands violating your past, doing what your old self swore you'd never do, walking away from your story. Power responds to force, clarity, commitment. Become someone who commands outcomes or remain a footnote. The world is full of forgotten people who lacked courage to shed old selves. Don't be one. Stop making peace with your past, make war. Burn scripts that kept you small. Refuse to repeat, refuse the role. You're not here to follow. You're here to shape, lead, dominate your space. That starts by betraying yourself. Looking in the mirror and saying, I will no longer protect the version of me that failed. I will become what is necessary. I will do what must be done. I will win. If I must kill the man I used to be, I won't hesitate. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. That's how leaders are made.